All right, hello and welcome back to Who's Even Listening here on our Mental Medicine channel. This is episode number 28, and we have a very, very special guest here. Got a good old Luke here. And your last name, I'm sorry, I did not catch that.
You're good. Hortensius.
I'm glad I wouldn't have been able to say that, so I'm actually glad you said that.
Let me guess on yours. Is Doofbach?
Doofenbach. No, you're good. You're good.
I didn't know if it was German or Dutch.
It's German. You're right.
German?
Yeah, we can both relate on that. Yeah, we got the honors
right.
for sure. For sure, brother. But, so I'll share you on that. But as always, like we always say, ELE, everybody love everybody. Let's try to make this world a better place for all of us to want to live in and exist in. And spread love, spread forgiveness, spread kindness. And hopefully we're doing our part and influencing others that want to do that as well. And obviously, with that being said, thank you again for taking the time to come on our show, Luke. We really appreciate it, brother. And obviously, I know you kind of talked to me before we got started, but just give a little quick intro, kind of who you are and what got you to where you're at today.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I am a husband and a father.
That's right.
I've got a wife. I've been married for going on our 10th year.
Congratulations, man. That's
I got
awesome.
a 4-year-old. He is way cooler than I am. He's so cool, man.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
He's super bright. He's also mega tall for his age. And
okay.
I'm like, good
well,
job.
you are tall.
Following in them genes. I need that.
That's right. That's right.
And then I'm a financial coach.
Yes.
I sit down with people. I ultimately help them reduce their stress with money.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means, man, we're diving into the numbers. And other times it means, hey, we need to have some light therapy work.
100%.
Because there's so much that gets involved in personal financing.
Yeah.
And the reality is personal is first, right? Personal financing, it's not just financing.
Correct.
So just in your realm, everyone loves everybody. It's hey, look, if you're not able to love yourself, it's going to be really difficult for you to
100%.
Right?
100%.
That's a couple of ways that it goes.
No, well said, dude. And yeah, one of the first questions I want to say, like, perfect what you just said there, honestly, about everyone wants to have a relationship with money. But like you said, everyone is different. Like everyone, for example, has a different lifestyle. Everyone has, like, for example, my father, he's a very rigid person, doesn't spend much at all. You know, and then my mom is a polar opposite. You know what I mean? So like everybody has that different line that they walk in their lifestyle, and then to fit that into the budget can be very difficult, especially when you have a spouse too that is the opposite. Then you really gotta really work it. Yeah, correct. So then it gets even deeper. But, but I guess the question I wanted to have for you is what really made you want to get into that, and really like what really pushed you to want to pursue that route? And I know you talked about ministry and stuff too, but what really wanted to make you take the financial route?
Well, there's a little bit of everything. And I totally understand if other people don't. I myself am a Christian. And I was working for a church, and I had a lot of combination of things. One, as I'm working for this church, I finished one calendar year. I made $14,000 a year.
How about that?
Working 30 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man,
that's brutal.
Something needs to change. And I was making things work, and there was other things that were creatively thrown in there. For example, I was getting housing at a very reduced cost due to a great relationship with someone.
Okay, interesting.
So it's one of those like, man, when you're able to figure things out like that, you're able to sustain. But it was outside of that. I was living with a group of guys, and phenomenal guys. I love the guys. But all of them didn't have the same level of weight because when I was 18, my parents moved back to the Netherlands. Parents from the Netherlands.
Gotcha.
So that kind of left me in a space where it was like, dude, do or die. If you don't figure this out, you're screwed. And the guys who I was living with, to some extent, they was like, man, they have some fallback options. So they were like, look, we love this cheap housing. We're cool with it. But at the same time, we're not tied to this. And for me, it was like, look, if I don't do this, I'm really in struggle. And don't get me wrong, I would have probably figured it out. But it was still one of those, it was formational.
Yeah.
And so the combination of like my parents moving, the combination of working this job, doing the ministry, and the combination of I was in a teaching role, the combination of having a past history in radio, and I was like speaking with people, and I had to speak to 50,000 people at once.
Yeah.
Instead of having these deep conversations, and I found myself really being attracted to that.
Okay, interesting.
So the combination of all those things kind of painted to, man, what is something that really molds all of this together? And I was like, man, I really like doing this coaching. And I had one or two people who were already asking. Yeah. And I got a chance to meet with them, and I started talking about money. And before you know it, it was like, wait, I think I can make some money off of this. Yeah. And not as anything more than a ministry for me, but also as man, there are people who can afford to pay for this, and frankly, need to pay for this.
Correct.
There is an intrinsic truth that all people have, where your money is tied to your values. And I think this is something that everyone has, but not everyone fully realizes it.
I agree with that.
The people who fully realize it are intentional about it. Yeah. So it becomes, man, if I really, really value this, I'm going to put money behind it. Correct. Right? You doing this whole thing here.
Correct.
You can't tell me that money hasn't been put into it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Like we all do. 100%.
Right?
Anything you're interested in, you put money into.
It's because you value it,
100%.
right? And simultaneously, there are people that are also pouring a ton of money into things, and they may not value it.
Correct.
So how does that work into your psyche? And this became things that like I got really interested in, and the more I discussed it, the more I would say the Lord, but the more, however you want to bent it, just things started lining up. And then I was like, okay, well, let me start, here. And I started coaching one or two people. And that grew into, okay, if I can have a steady group of people and, in the background, I really enjoy this. But it was also I'm not wired to fully go risk all and do this fully. Yeah. And maybe there will be a point where it's like, all right, we're going full-fledged on this.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm very risk averse. So it was like, all right, you know what? For me personal, I'm very cool with letting it grow on its own as it does.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. No, that's well said, man. Honestly, I think from what you said there too, I think a lot of people, I don't want to speak for anybody, but get into your realm and kind of do it for, in a sense, scammy and selfish reasons. So I think the reason you're doing it is very good, though. Because that's the only part that I get a little hesitant about with some people with that. You know how the world is now, and I hate to say that, but there's a lot of people that do sadly take advantage of people and those kind of things. So I was interested to really talk to you about that side. I know you probably,
we will.
Because I know that there's a lot of the bad side as well with that, too. Because a lot of people don't use it correctly, the way that you're talking about it. But no, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that the way you said it. But yeah, like we all go to, for example, like say we spend money on something that's just a materialistic thing that really doesn't have much really meaning to it, but it's just something that we want for whatever reason. Yeah, how do you, like you said, what does that do for us? When we're doing that 24/7. It's a good, I didn't even think about that. 100%, man. I'm curious to see what you say here. What's one misconception people have about money that you would like to correct?
So let me use a phrase that everybody and their mother has heard.
Okay.
Right? Everyone has used the term at some point in their life. I'm bad with money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I fully understand why people use the term. Mm-hmm. And if you say I'm bad with money, you're intrinsically acknowledging that you have a relationship with it.
Yeah. True.
Right? Number one.
Very true.
But number two, it's like saying I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can be bad at addition, subtraction, but you might actually be really good at multiplication.
Correct.
Right? Or it might be that like, man, your confidence is so distraught in this area that it now reflects into a different area.
True.
Right. So when someone says I'm bad with money, it almost always is not that they actually are bad with math. The math is easy.
Yeah.
The math is 10%.
Yeah.
And if you truly do struggle with the math, okay, we can help you there.
Fair enough.
Right.
But it's not as big as a part as people think.
Right. But most people, it's not the math.
Yeah.
The math isn't the hard part.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. The hard part is, for many people, they didn't grow up in an environment that taught them how to manage it.
That too.
Right. That's just truth. 72% of Americans, I think it's 72, that's changed a couple times, live a paycheck to paycheck, which means without the next paycheck, they will not be able to afford a bill that would be over $5,000.
Yep. Correct.
Right. Well, what does that mean? It means you have a whole generation of people who have not learned how to manage their money.
Yep.
And they haven't had an example of someone above them who's taught them how to manage their money.
Yes.
And to some extent, if you don't have an example, it's like imagine going onto a golf course. Yep. And no, you've never seen someone swing a club. You've never seen someone, right?
It'd be hilarious. Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at golf. And then there's one guy who's like, okay, he's going up and he had a good swing and he doesn't even know what he's doing. And he hit the ball, 300 yards. And he's like, oh man, I'm so great at this. Yep. And it's like, dude, you're not. You're not. You just hit a lucky stroke, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then on the same time, you got all of these other people who are like, man, I can't figure this thing out. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, sure, no one's ever taught you.
Yeah.
Right. So to some extent, it's a little bit of, man, you don't have a system that actually is supporting you. Yeah. You don't have someone who's been solid examples. Yeah. The only examples that you have is following somebody on online, which all of us have a growing skepticism in, let's be real. Yeah. Is this real?
100%.
Right? It's the reason that we're really attracted to people like Little Dicky when he puts up a song where he's like, oh, dude, I made this whole video and I didn't spend any money to do it.
Yep.
Because like he is making fun of an industry that we all
100%.
Understand. You have made a song that says like, man, I got money, I got this, I got cars, I got house, and you don't have any of it.
Correct.
Right. So, like this is kind of, yes. That's my biggest misconception by far. You're not bad with money. You just haven't learned.
Couldn't agree more. And I want to add to this too. I'm not sure if it was that way when you, and then we're 5 years apart, but even when I was in school, dude, we never even got taught like the balance of any budget, to even write a check. Most of my friends don't even know how to write a check. I mean, it's when you just bring it to just that bare bones of, people don't even know the bare basics almost in a sense. That's where it's almost scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not taught, like you said, it's just not taught to people. That information is, sadly, unless you're going out and seeking it yourself, it's probably not going to get brought to you. You know what I mean?
And when you seek it yourself, you have to overcome that inherent skepticism that we've been trained into.
Correct.
Right. So it makes sense. And to some extent, it's not the lack of knowledge even.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I ask anyone and say to them, hey, do you know what to do? They're going to say, yeah.
We all think we do. Yeah,
I know I need to save. I know I need to invest. I know I need to, I need to do this. But then the question is, why aren't we doing it? Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not even always an information thing.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't need the information. There is intrinsically something that is blocking you. And I can generally help identify, or at the very least say, okay, here's some steps that we can really overcome something here.
100%, man.
I help people reduce the stress with money.
Yeah.
And often that stress is a block that we need to work through.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that, man. I agree with that. Obviously, I think you did expand on this, but obviously I want you to expand a little farther. So how much of finance is mindset versus actual math? I know you kind of talked about that a little bit, but maybe you can go a little deeper into that, because I do think that that's not touched on enough.
So I said earlier, I think math is about 10%.
Yeah.
I think that's still true. But it's almost like saying, earlier I used the analogy of math. It's almost like saying, how do I be good with math?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what part do you want to be good at?
Correct.
And then
many different parts.
And it builds on itself. So whenever someone is saying, hey, like, is it mindset? It's like, well, if you don't have the math right, it's going to be really hard for you to do the mindset.
True.
If you don't have the mindset, it's going to be really hard to and when we dive into the actual mindset, well, are we talking about your confidence? Yeah. Are we talking about your communication? Are we talking about your character?
Yeah.
Are we talking about, right? Like there's so many levers to it.
100%.
And when someone, it's really easy when any one of those things are going wrong. It's really easy for you to then have your confidence dinged. Yep. And now you're telling yourself, oh man, I don't have the right mindset. Oh, I'm bad with math. Or, oh, I'm bad with money. Right. Yeah. And all of this comes back to, you look at the math and you say, that's the problem, when the problem isn't the math.
Yep.
The problem is something that's going on. And if you're not able to siphon through that, you will externalize what's going internal, and you will start saying the math is the problem, and you will abandon the budget when the budget is actually the thing that empowers you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's all linked, which is why I'm going to say 90% is the mindset.
Correct. But you need to have one to have the other, is what you're saying, regardless of how small it is. Yeah, it makes complete sense, man. It makes complete sense. And obviously, I know you. Do you do more? I wanted to ask you this too. Do you do more personal, or do you do businesses as well?
So I do small businesses.
Okay.
I can do it as it scales, but it's definitely one of those my niche, my favorite people to work with is like, I'll give an example. There was a welder I was working with.
Oh, okay.
Guy is a phenomenal guy, and like I'm gonna use like the whole story of his work, but I don't want to I'm not gonna give his name. It's his business, etc. So I'm working with him, and he was getting a haircut like every single week.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
And we're like, all right, what's going on here? Right. Yeah. And again, after we dive into the budget and when I see where they're going, and it's like, okay, there are things that are holding you back and I don't quite understand. Well, as I worked with him, it was like, okay, how can we scale up your welding? So it became, okay, what's the barrier here? Well, if I'm working with this employee, I'm not able to do outside work.
I see.
Right. And then it became like, okay, well, if you're working here, you can now do outside work. And here's how we might grow that outside work.
Okay.
And at some stage, we're going to take a calculated risk into you can jump from this reliable job that's not paying you as much as you probably are able to get to, okay, I'm willing to take on this more work. But it's also putting more responsibility on me. Correct. But the benefit of that is I get the more pay.
Correct.
Right. And then it scales to this is the kind of story of it. Then it scales to, okay, now your business is making $150,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But you personally are only able to take home about $90K of that.
Correct.
Well, that's just the expenses. Well, most people will say, okay, revenue minus my expenses, minus how much I'm paying myself, gives me a profit. Where if you're doing business right, you're doing a little bit changes in there.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, I'm still having the revenue, but I'm minusing my profit right off the top.
Yeah.
Like you as a business need to have a profit. And if you don't have a profit, you don't have a business.
Correct.
Right. Now, there are people who are the exceptions. We can talk about Jeff Bezos and about how for the first 5-10 years of his business, it was making zero money. In fact, it was losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. But they were building an infrastructure that inherently had capital. Mm-hmm. So if you take all of that capital and you run it against what they were losing, it's like, dude, when they corner this market, and they are going to corner this market, they're going to walk away with it, right? Right, and that means it's a calculated risk.
Yeah, correct.
But the vast majority of people who start a business say, oh man, I'm making a calculated risk, and it's like, you've got nothing to show for it.
Correct.
You've got, there's very little business plan here, and if there's a business plan, it's like, okay, I know how much money I kind of need to make, but going back to that equation, it's this, okay, revenue, you're taking profit right off the top. Yep. You're paying taxes right off the top. Correct. Because that's a huge part. No one pays the taxes. 15%, put it aside.
Yep.
Right? No matter what revenue you make, correct. 15%, put it aside. And then you go down to, hey, we need to make sure that you pay yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? Which means the last one is actually your operating expenses. The last thing that should be paid is these are the things that make the business run. Correct. And it's because if you look at it from that lens, you're never taking away from your profit, and your profit needs to be in there. I don't care if it's 1% or 5%. Yeah. It needs to be in there.
No, it's a good point. And it forces you to, you're going to get it
forces
anyway. I agree with that.
It forces you to now look at the expenses and say, how do I make this work? Instead of, okay, I just need to pay this. Oh, this is what I got left over.
Correct.
Right? Intrinsically, you are going to show up more creatively if it's on the back end than if you put it on the front end. And creative is what drives your business.
100%.
Right? So there's little things like that if you add in and we get a system that actually empowers that, you will find yourself being way more successful in business.
No, and that makes complete sense to me, especially at one point when you talk about because I think everybody, for example, there's a lot of people, I feel like, myself included, where you're if you're getting that money, for example, and the last thing you're doing is paying yourself. A lot of people are going to just be like, I just won't take it. I'm going to put this over here. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that will be like, okay, I'll take the 20 cut on me. And they're easily do that. But if you said if it's flip-flop.
Which means you're paying the operating expense.
Correct. But that's what I'm saying. But it's easier in your head, though, mentally to see that than it is to see the way you're talking about it. Yeah. So I could see how that could be beneficial to a lot of people.
And to take it a step further, you will replace it with something, because again, money's personal, even in business.
Correct.
You will replace it with something that logically gives you permission to keep going. Mm-hmm. So it becomes things like, you know what, when the business makes more money, then I'll pay myself. but the numbers don't change.
Correct.
You just added more zeros to it.
Yeah.
So like there's technically some truth that like, oh, if I'm only giving myself $1 now, then, you know, in the future, when you add more zeros to it, now I'm getting $10,000. But it's like, yes, that's true, but you don't understand that as a business grows, generally your scale also needs to grow in all the other areas. Correct. It's the reason that like, let's take a really good example. Let's take, I don't know if you want this to be more of a timeless episode, but like I'm going to pick something more really close to the time. Okay. So there is currently, a bid war going on between who's going to be buying, Paramount and Netflix is trying to buy. Yes, what are they trying to buy? HBO or something like that?
Yeah,
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and HBO. Right? They are, they're
all right. That's all the same.
So you're right.
But there's a bidding war going off for it, and the truth is, where does that bidding war come from? It's coming from the profit that they've stacked up over time.
Correct.
Right? That's what they're using to grow their business. They're not labeling this as hey, this month's operating expenses, we're going to lose a couple $1 billion. Right?
Yeah, correct.
They have it as part of
it's ready to rock.
Yeah, right. It's ready to rock. And once they make this acquisition, like either way, when one of them wins this war, they will enter into a new level of business to where everything is higher, and that profit margin can't be 5%. The profit margin must be 6%. It needs to grow with the level of their business.
Yes.
Because if you don't, when something changes in the business, you will not be able to sustain. You are playing an infinite game whenever you are in the business world. You are not playing a finite game. Yep. Finite games, this is coming from Simon Sinek. If you haven't heard of him, you absolutely should. He's incredible.
No, I have not.
Simon Sinek talks about the infinite game and the finite game. If we look at America going into the Korean War, it was a finite game for us. We go until we run out of resources.
Yeah, that's true.
But for them, it was an infinite game. If we don't do this, we don't survive.
100%.
Right? So intrinsically, they have a reason to keep fighting.
Correct.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
And business is the same thing. If you enter into business, you are entering into an infinite game. The goal of business is to stay in business.
Correct.
Right? When someone walks into business and they say, oh man, you know what? I can hire these people, but they're expendable. You are intrinsically saying you're finite.
Yeah.
You only have a value that only goes so far.
That's very true.
But if you're a business that I would argue, and I do love to coach people this direction, although I understand that not all businesses can go this direction. I'm just saying as a personal, right?
Yeah.
I believe like if my business continues to scale and me doing my coaching, the moment I take on someone else, I'm taking on the responsibility of their family as well.
Correct. 100%.
Financially.
Should look at it like I agree. 100%.
So it's full stop. Man, yes. I am now they are becoming a part-time owner in what I am doing, but also they are an owner in this.
Yeah.
The business rises, they can rise. The business rises, I can rise.
They all impact each other.
Right? As opposed to the traditional structure of businesses, particularly after you go over 50 to 100 employees.
Yeah.
The dynamic starts to change to you are servicing the brand that is my business or something along that nature.
Correct.
And the truth is you're replaceable.
Yeah.
And at some point people make a conscious decision to have that kind of flip.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, for example, I love to coach people, not just in the, hey, let's get your numbers right. We're going to get you into that profit first system. That comes from Mike. His last name's escaping me. But that's where, like, I pulled that profit, minus, right? That is a profit first system. But then whenever it comes to the psychology side, it's stuff like the infinite game. Whenever it comes to the business culture side, it's stuff like Patrick Lencioni's and all of his structure on like a good working teammate within a business, right? These are all things that layer and layer and layer. So saying, how do I supply, help business? It's like, well, where is the business? Because that answers everything.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. No, it makes complete sense, man. No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, it's just like you said, I think everybody's at a different standpoint. Like you said, it just depends on when you get where you're at, and everybody's at a different point in their life too, what I mean? But no, I respect the way you view that too, because the way you said that too, that you said, especially when you're bringing on somebody finance, like your decisions of what will happen are going to hurt me too. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's a big deal if you're looking at it that way too, because I don't think everybody does view it that way. So I do appreciate that mindset and that approach, because that is, I think, very needed in what you're doing too. Because like you said, you should be should be aware of, for example, if they make a decision or something that's going to, make them in a situation where they lose their house or something, that's a big deal. I mean, it should weigh heavy on you if you're the person doing it. I would hope, you know what I mean? I would hope. So, absolutely.
And at the very least, you should be able to be fully honest with them, which means,
absolutely.
Hey, here's my budget. You can see it.
Yeah.
This is what I got. And there is a very strong likelihood that they may look at something and be like, yeah, but what about that 5% profit? And you'll be like, look, I need you to understand that as a principle of business, that's untouchable.
Yeah, correct.
Right? That needs to be in there.
Yeah.
And it's the reason it's with that 5% budget that I've now decided that it's worth my interest to pull in another person, which is you.
Correct.
So you're literally roping them into, hey, I need you to understand that this 5% can't be touched because it's what's empowered me to be able to acquire
pick you up. Correct.
But simultaneously, if I take you on, this is the measure that I need us to be able to reach so that I can pay you properly. And I want to pay you properly.
Correct.
Right?
So that's the ultimate goal that helps me.
Right.
Too. Yep,
it is a relationship. It is a mutual relationship.
100%.
And that's as it should be.
100%. Man.
So
no, couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. So obviously, with that question, why is separating personal and business finances so important? I'm sure that's a question you have to deal with a lot too.
Yeah. So this goes back to I'm going to talk about the welder, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned this welder. I'm going to use two stories here. One is more of this personal realm, and the other one's more of a business realm.
Gotcha.
If you look at this welder guy, I mentioned that he was getting a haircut every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we dived into it, we're like, okay, can you afford that? It's a haircut. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whenever you add $25 every single week,
that shit adds up.
At the point, he was spending about $40 every single week.
I bet you got tipped too and everything.
$40 every single week. Well, when we start doing the math, again, it's not that difficult. We're looking at 40 times, 4.
Yeah.
You're looking at 160. Call that 150 a month.
Yep.
What would you do with an extra $150 in your pocket, right? It's the money.
Yep, exactly.
And that doesn't even count out that it adds and adds and adds and adds. So whenever we started really diving into that, it was okay, so what are you getting from this? And we dived into the history and we dived into what's going on. And it became, okay, I was abused when I was a kid.
Interesting. Okay.
And the place that I could go to was my uncle's. And my uncle was a barber.
I see. Okay.
So once a week, when he sits down with a barber, he's not just getting a haircut.
I see. It's more of a a therapy session.
It's a therapy session for him.
That makes sense.
Right? And even if he doesn't say a word to his therapist, it's, this is a safe space.
Yeah. No.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing is we said, okay, let's try and use, I don't know if you know of Atomic Habits from James Clear.
No, I'm looking at it as well.
Unbelievable book. It's a multi-million-dollar top seller over the last 5 years or so.
Gotcha.
But he talks about how do you form habits. And it became, okay, how can we empower what you're getting out of these haircuts? So it became, that guy was a Christian, and it became, okay, there's a men's group. And what if we replace getting your haircut just half the time? 2 times of the month you can still go. Yeah. But the other 2 times, let's try and get you into this men's group and see what you think. Yeah. Let's just try it. Just 1 month.
Switch it up. Yep,
right?
Exactly.
At the end of the month, he was like, you know what? I think I can get a lot of the relief and feeling that I'm getting from this men's group.
That's awesome.
And 2 months later, he ends up inviting his barber to come to the men's group.
How about that?
And now he gets a haircut once a month, but
awesome.
The barber has still been deeply involved in all the things that he's doing. Right? So it was now don't get me wrong, let's be acknowledged. We just took away money from the barber.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
It's going somewhere.
That's right. That's a good point. Good point.
Because money is involved in everywhere. But at the same time, there's also an intrinsic truth that to the barber, it's how do you set yourself up with longtime clients? You just made a giant raving fan whenever you became best friends with this guy, and so there's so many layers involved in all this, and that's more of the personal.
Yeah, no, that's a very good story there. Yeah.
That you dive in there. But if you look at more of the business side, right? Rubbermaid. You are familiar with the brand, right?
Yes, yeah, the Tupperware, right? Yeah,
Tupperware, right? Yeah. But before Rubbermaid made that kind of switch, and ultimately it made that kind of switch because it was bought out.
Okay.
It was originally owned by a different family, different group, right?
Gotcha.
Do you know of that story?
I do not. I know what Rubbermaid is. Like, I know this brand, but I don't know the story. Cool. No, go ahead.
So Rubbermaid, like what blew them onto the scene is they were a company that that they discovered a new way to make a strong, moldable rubber, hence Rubbermaid.
I see.
Right?
Yep.
Their biggest seller as their small company was these trash cans.
Okay.
They introduced it to this giant company known as Walmart. And they said, hey, Walmart, we have this great product. It's doing phenomenal. Like, we would love to have this grow. Walmart said, done. We want 100,000 cases, that kind of deal. It became 95% of their business.
Wow, how about that?
Their whole business, itself, the whole business turned into, we are making all of these trash cans so that we can sell them all to Walmart, and so that all of it can then go out into the public. Well, who became a lever in the game now? Walmart became a lever in the game. And Walmart is famous for this. And again, it's a system of business. They are trying to play an infinite game with themselves. And they, to some extent, are looking at other people who are in that game with them and saying, if I'm infinite, you can't be, right? Correct. Now, I don't fully agree with that. But
no, but that's what they're doing. Yeah,
that's what they're doing. So what did they do? They said, hey, guys, we want to drive down the price on your Rubbermaid trash cans. Inflation's happening everywhere. We want to drive down the price. We need you to reduce it by 10%.
Yeah.
At the same time, the compound what they were using to make all of these trash cans, to make all of these Rubbermaid trash cans, went up in price. Their expense, because they didn't have a profit, and they didn't have time to change, their expenses went up.
Oh my.
So what happened to their business? Their business was, okay, not only did all of our expenses go up, but we're making less revenue out of this. So they are getting, like, the combination of the two just kind of knocked the heck out of them.
For sure.
And what ended up happening is they ended up selling the Rubbermaid brand to someone else. And that person who had profit, who had some money on the side, made a larger switch and started saying, "Hey, we can enter more into the Tupperware space." And they poured gas on that, but they effectively dropped the whole trash can. So
there's no. That's a good question. I was going to ask you. There's no Rubbermaid trash can at all. Then
exactly. If you look for them, everyone identifies Rubbermaid with the trash can, or with the depending on how old are you, or with the Tupperware container.
It is, whatever.
But by far, the trash can was the hug of death for them.
How about that?
It was okay as it grew. You didn't have the things in place, and to some extent, like. They're trying to play the game, and no one can blame them for some of these things.
100%.
But also some of these things are foreseeable.
Yes.
Right? It is foreseeable that your number one expense and or your number one revenue driver, what happens when something goes into there?
Correct.
What are you going to do?
Correct.
Right? And these are things that most people just flat out aren't thinking about, but they should.
No, 100%. Right? Yeah, it's like you put all your eggs in one basket almost, you know what I mean? It's kind of what they did.
And whenever it comes to go back to the original question in this, like when it comes to the separation of those two, well, what happens when that business fails?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've destroyed your personal life.
Correct.
Right? And on the flip side, what happens when your personal life is going through all wreck?
Yeah.
There is a list of phenomenal companies, ministries, organizations that when the leader of said organization has something going on in their personal life,
yeah, that's a good point.
What happens to the business?
It doesn't go too well normally.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
No,
there are some people, particular people who have made claims even all the way up to presidencies. There are particular people who can take bad publicity and turn it into just publicity.
That's very true.
And that is a skill.
Yeah, you got Kanye West and Elon Musk are about the only.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's hard. It's a hard play.
It's a hard play. But the reality is, it's like, look, like, again, I don't know how timeless you want to make this, but like, if you look at the gentlemen who get caught on this whole kiss cam thing with Coldplay.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Like what happened to their business? You had two major players in your business, and it affected them.
You're right.
Right. And it's not the only one. If I come from more, of course, worked in Christian spaces, so like I can go down the list of different pastors that, oh man, that abuse happened. Well, what happened? Right. There are whole podcasts, the multi-million-dollar podcasts that are based on let's figure out what happened at Mars Hill with Mark Driscoll and all of the things that happened there. And it's like, how did this completely, in many respects, destroy the ministry and destroyed the relationships, because ministry and businesses are relationships, destroyed all the relationships and the personal psychology of all these people who worked in this business because of the failure of
one thing. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
So the separation of your business and your personal is implicit, and it needs to be a foundational part. Yeah. But also, you can't fully separate them.
Yeah, because they do go hand in hand.
Because they go hand in hand, right? You doing this podcast.
Yep.
The reason that it's working is because your personal desire to grow and do this.
Correct.
But because of that personal desire and grow, the moment that you have something affected in your personal life, it's like, hey guys, I can't do the podcast this week.
Correct.
Right? Correct. And at this stage, that's acceptable. But if, let's say that you were on a stage of like, hey, you're Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. Guys, I'm taking a week off. No, you ain't, you know?
Exactly.
So it's different at what space that you're at. Yep. But at the same time, yes, you need to, in your system, have a separation between the two, particularly financially.
100% agree.
But simultaneously, there are things linked in that are personal, and you have to at least acknowledge that they exist.
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't agree more.
And build contingency plans for when one of them come into
correct. You need a plan B, plan C, plan D. Going forward again, a little farther than that too, probably.
Yeah, without a doubt.
100%, man, 100%. But all right, I wanted to ask you this too. Why do you think so many couples or families struggle so much communicating about money? Because I do think that's a big part too with a lot of people. You know, obviously, like I said, there's like many different personalities, many different, wants and needs out there. So, so I'm just curious to see how you have to play on that a lot, or is that not much?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. I'll say there's 5 main tenets that I do all of my coaching on. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about 4 of them today. I'll leave the 5th one a mystery because it's just good business.
All right. We like that.
Right?
We like that.
So earlier I mentioned confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Your confidence is heavily affected in here. Competency, which is what I would say is your system. You rise to the level of your system. You do not, or you fall to the level of your system. You do not rise to the level of your ambitions.
Okay, I like that.
All of us have ambitions, but you will fall to the level of whatever system you have up. If you don't have a good system, you're going to fall to it.
100% agree with that.
Right? I would say communication is heavily in there, and this is kind of answering your question right here. Yeah. And then again, I'm going to leave one a mystery, but then I would say, character would probably be the last one in there. Yeah. Now there's definitely one more that like heavily involves all the rest. I would say it more of like a salt. If you add this one thing onto this, well, man, it supercharges it, or you add it into here.
All right.
So, but to speak to this communication, Brene Brown is an unbelievable speaker in different communication spaces. But I would love to dive into like Yvette Erasmus with, she has a podcast speaking about how to have nonviolent communication.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
Okay,
so this would be, I'm trying to come up with like a really formal example in the money space. One of the things that she says is, everyone is very, and she'll use very 1,500 times, poorly communicating a deep felt need at all times. Okay. So let's take a spouse that's fighting, right? Yeah. She shows up and she says, why the crap are you getting so many haircuts? Right? What's the deep felt need in there?
Correct.
The deep felt need, if we said, hey, why? Like what made you say that? There could be 15 different levers. Lever could be, man, when you spend this money, it reminds me of my mom spending, my dad spending all this money.
We all got triggers
somewhere. And the trigger's there. Now that's an in-depth one. Yeah. But let's take something less in-depth that also could be activated here. It could be, when the money's going out, you have less money to spend on us. And it feels like you don't value us.
That's fair too. Yeah,
right?
Very true.
A
very
deep
true.
felt need that is very poorly being communicated.
Yeah.
Right? And then his response, man, like, I don't know. Right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He legitimately doesn't understand what is the deep felt need.
Correct.
Right? But the deep felt need is, man, there's some form of safety there and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right? And we can point back to this past trauma, but it could also be something along the lines of, man, if I don't have some semblance of control in here, it feels like everything's just yours.
Yeah, fair enough.
And how many times do we hear, because there's money scripts that have been deeply involved in all of this, growing up.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard, oh, the guy makes the money, she spends it. Right? Happy wife,
that
happy
out
life,
there bad.
right? Like all this is out there.
100%.
And don't get me wrong, they're there for a reason, and they're there that they can exist and be healthy. But it's also an opportunity for something to be deeply unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that communication, if you can just acknowledge every single person is communicating something that is a deep felt need. Have you watched the show Ted Lasso?
I've heard of it. I have not yet. I wanted to. I've seen the preview for it when it was coming out.
Okay,
I have not. I have. My buddies have been telling me to watch it.
Okay. I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time, it's been out for 5 years. You don't have a choice. I'm going to spoil a little bit.
You're good. My friends have already told me a little, so you're good. You're good.
So in the first season, and anyone who watches the show is going to be like, yes, right? There's a scene where there's a woman and she has an ex-lover of hers who loves a football team, this soccer team that the coach is now a coach of.
Gotcha.
And they're like constantly beefing. She is intentionally trying to sabotage the team because it's the only thing that he ever loved.
I see.
She's communicating a deep felt need.
Right? It's Sudeikis, right? In the Jason.
Yeah. Jason. He's the coach. He's the coach.
Yes.
But this ex-lover is this.
I see. Gotcha.
The previous owner of the team.
Okay.
But that previous owner, like the only thing he ever loved was this football team. So she's trying to sabotage this team.
Rip it from him, yeah.
But because she's trying to get back at him for all of the hurt, and he is trying to okay, I still want to control this team, even though it's not mine anymore. Because even though I don't love her at all and I'm willing to screw her over, like that team still matters to me. So it ends up with them sitting in this bar, and he says, hey, do you like darts? We should play some darts. And he convinces the coach to get into this wager.
Okay.
Of, hey, let's play darts. I'm not too good. You're not too good. If you win, then I won't talk to the other owner anymore. I'm not allowed to be in the box. For the rest of the season, she's she's safe from me.
Okay.
But if I win, I get to set up the lineup.
Okay.
So I get to determine who's on the field.
Fair enough.
Right. And they go into this wonderful scene of them throwing darts. And as they get closer to the end, it's very clear that they're hustling.
Okay.
Right. Because the guy's like, oh, I forgot these, and he pulls out these great darts, and it's like, oh, he's played darts, right? Yeah. And Jason Sudeikis has a wonderful response himself. Oh, I forgot, I'm not left-handed, and throws right-handed, so they're hustling each other. But there's this beautiful end to the scene where he says, my entire life people have underestimated me.
Yep.
And when I was a kid, I remember people, coming up and make fun of me and all these things. And he drove by a sign that said, "Don't be judgmental. Be curious."
Love that.
Right? Communication. If there's one thing that I could say to every single one of the spouses or the communication as it relates to money is, one, you need to acknowledge that every person has a deep felt need.
100%.
But then two, you can't be judgmental of it. The best thing that you can do is be curious.
Yeah. Well said, man.
Right? So it becomes, okay, let's do this self-therapy. Let's do this, understand what's going on. What is really getting down to it? Because if you are able to look at someone and say they're doing these things because X, and you're able to be curious about it instead of judgmental towards it, then you know what? You're doing all of these things and it's because you're hurt.
Yeah. And, whole different perspective.
Right? Whole different perspective. Yeah. But then furthermore, it becomes, okay, so why are you hurt?
Yep.
Now you start looking at the answer of, okay, the way for me to fight you isn't to scream back.
Yep.
The way for me to fight you, like if I actually want to resolve the issue that we're having here, is for me to service that deep felt need.
Yep.
And also be more clear and understanding about what my deep felt need is.
100%.
Right.
Man.
And then it becomes, hey, I'm going to this thing because I have deep felt trauma. I need to go to the barber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And how can we empower that by also, hey, we're going to replace this money that was going to a barber to we're going to go out to eat.
Yep.
Now I'm intrinsically empowering. We're putting money behind what you value.
Yep.
We're putting money towards going out and empowering the relationship, but simultaneously we're servicing the deep felt need of, man, this person, needs to have some form of therapy, and we're going to help replace it by letting him go on a weekly interaction with these guys,
100%.
Where they're going to talk about things that are deeply impactful.
No,
right?
You're right.
So money is tied to everything.
It is.
Money is assault.
It is. No, it is in this world the way we have it. It is. And there's no way around it, man. But no, that's well said, man. Because like you said, obviously communication is always key no matter what partnership you're in. And, if we can all be, like I always say, question everything, kind of the same way of being curious. It's the same way I say it. But it's just, we all should be as interested in their feelings as we are our own. And I always bring that up too, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of selfish tendencies that people have. And, it's kind of hard to get into someone else's shoes, you know what I mean? But to really drop that wall and to really be open to hearing them out and actually be open to acting on it and helping it. That's the key, because we all hear stuff, but sometimes it's just, and you're just listening, you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like you're not actually thinking, how can I actually help them in this situation? You're just trying to let them vent and then move on. You know what I mean? So I do think for us to be more open and more vulnerable really too is the key too, because that's what I always talk about with a lot of my friends too, because we build a wall up and we don't really sometimes allow it to be shown, and when we do, it's sometimes because it's so built up, it becomes very violent. You know what I mean? Like a very violent way of, because it's so built in, and you're just getting it out. So like you said, the more and more you communicate, the more and more you do it peacefully and understanding, and actually trying to, like you said, resolve the issue at hand, and not just look around it or try to find an excuse. And that's huge, man. That's huge.
And to add something, there's also a lot of beliefs that we need to not be judgmental of ourselves, but also be curious of ourselves.
100%.
So, like, let's use the example of how often would you see someone say, oh, well, you're a blank, and it comes with some kind of degrading.
Yeah, we all put people down,
right? Like, if we're really honest about why we're doing the degrading, it's if I'm in a better position, I now have more authority. And because I have more authority, my words have more weight. Yeah. And that means the thing that I am speaking for has more, say in the relationship. And there are some instances where that might be true.
Yeah.
But generally, it's just not.
I agree with that. I agree with that. 100%.
Everyone is at the capacity that they are at. And you don't, one person isn't better than the other person. It's they are both at the capacity that they're at.
Yep.
And just because one person has a higher capacity because they've gone through more stress, they need to understand that the way that the other person actually gets through it is by enduring that capacity. Yeah. And you're the best person to help them get through that.
Well said there.
Right?
Well said.
So to degrade them actually puts them down further, and it puts you further away from the goal that you're shooting for. Right?
It's going backwards the whole time.
You're going backwards.
Correct. Couldn't agree more. And it goes back to what violence and yelling usually doesn't get anywhere. Usually is very rarely is it productive. I'll put it like that.
Very
rarely is it productive, man. No. But no, I couldn't agree more with that, my man. I also want to say this too. I'm curious to see what you say here. What's one financial trend people should pay attention to right now that you've noticed?
Let me look at my notes and try and take a guess what I threw on here.
Oh no, you're all good, man. I was just curious.
Ooh. Okay.
What we got?
So I would put this in two spaces.
Okay.
If you are someone making, probably, it depends on your area, etc. Mm-hmm. But if you're someone making over, let's say, $100,000 a year, I would put you in a little bit into a different space. If you're looking at $150,000 to $200,000 a year, you're probably up in that higher space. And then if you're below 100, I'll put you into this space. So below 100, let's start there.
Yeah.
The trend that I would say that needs to be embraced, the trend is cryptocurrency is not your answer.
Yeah, God bless.
Right?
Yeah, that's killing some people. You're not kidding there, dude.
Not.
Oh, man. Bitcoin
Right?
has ran people off a wall.
Right. And don't get me wrong. Again, you can be the guy who shows up at the club and hits it over 300 and you're like, I did it, right? But you didn't do anything, right? It just came naturally to you in that space or something. And time proves the talent.
That's true.
So it's like, man, like if you go up and you hit this awesome thing, it's like, great, but man, if we look at the Hunger Games of the 75 years, I'm willing to bet that most of them came from District 1 and 2, and they were men. Like, let's be real.
You ain't wrong.
Right? If it comes to physical strength, like, let's be real here. Like, the math and the numbers don't lie.
100%.
But the other side of that is like, okay, if we look at that 100,000 and below, the thing that, the trend is, what's the next big break? Right, there is Ramit Sethi, who's a financial coach guru guy. One of the things that he says is he identifies different people in relationships, and he uses the term a dreamer.
Okay.
And it is someone who, man, the next big break is right around the corner.
Yeah.
They're the people, and we all have these friends. We all have these friends. Oh, yeah, he's sending me another message online on Facebook because, he's in another, money marketing.
Buy GameStop, something.
Buy GameStop. Or it's the multi-level marketing. It's the, guys, I just got into Venmo drink, and it's
Jesus.
like, yeah, how well did that one work out, And you always want to send them the meme of The Office where he's like,
oh God, yes, the all kind of Office, man.
It's a period, It's a pyramid.
The pyramid scheme. It's like Michael.
It's like I need to go make some calls, Like,
sure?
but like this dreamer idea of like the next break is around the corner. The problem with this dreamer mentality is like you will always think the next thing is around the corner, and the one time that you strike, it'll empower you for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And for 29 years, you're failing.
Yeah.
And worse yet, the people who are married to you or something along that lens, they have to go along.
Yeah, correct. You're throwing everybody with you in a sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, people are dragged along with you.
Yeah.
Right? So it is like the trend, believe this 100,000 is the thing that you are not embracing, that the thing that anyone under 100,000 needs to embrace is you need to feel the money leave.
Yeah. Yeah, well said.
A credit card or a debit card.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Right?
I was just about to say
I'm
that.
cool with you having a debit card. I'm cool with you having a credit card. I'm not cool with you not knowing how much left.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that.
Right? Deeply impactful. So I teach especially for those under that 100,000, but truthfully, if you do it under 100,000, you can do it for over 200,000.
Correct.
I teach people to use a budgeting system in which there is a feedback loop. If you do not have a feedback loop, you will not be able to be successful under 100K. And what that feedback loop looks like is, okay, I plan to spend this much money. That's what most people talk about when they say, oh, I make a budget. Yeah. Right? What I do is I make a list of expenses that I know that I have. And that's where it ends.
Yep.
Right? Oh, I have a budget. No, you have an Excel spreadsheet that has a list of your expenses.
That's true.
And let's be honest, some of them are complete guesstimates. I probably only spend about $100 going out to eat. Well, if we do an audit of the last 2 weeks, we're going to find out that you spend $400 going out to eat. We all
underestimate 100%, dude. 100%.
You have no business getting DoorDash under $100,000 a year. You have zero business getting DoorDash.
Get it.
Right?
Go get it. Yep.
Go get it. Right? You are probably working at a place where there is a group of other people who also are making the same amount of money. Have one of them go out to the store and get everybody their food.
Well said, brother.
DoorDash yourself, right?
Couldn't agree more there, man. Couldn't agree more.
Right? So in that space, I would say, like, okay, that's the trend, and the answer to that trend is you need to feel the money. The feedback loop is I plan to spend this money and I am tracking it as it goes out.
Yes. Now,
there are some people who go headlong into this and they become, man, I'm going to have my Excel spreadsheet that has pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. Too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your brain,
you're overcomplicating it.
Yeah. Your brain cannot.
Yeah.
hold all of these things, right?
Yep.
Personal financing is personal before financing. That you personally are not able to sustain all of this in your psyche.
Yeah.
So it becomes things like let's use groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I plan on spending $500 a month for groceries for me and my wife, right?
Yeah.
Just two people.
Yeah.
And then it's okay. Every single time I go to the grocery store, I get a receipt.
Yeah.
I walk out to the car. Now I swipe the card, and it doesn't matter whether I swiped it for $5 or for $50.
Right.
The swiping feels the same.
Yeah.
But when you get into the car, we habit stack with before you turn on the ignition, you have to do this.
Yep, that's right.
Right? So we're taking a habit that you're going to get into the car, you're going to drive away, and we pair it with, okay, you need to take that receipt. You need to pull up the app. You need to enter in. I spent $45 that came directly out of food. Yep. I spent $5 that came out of my little extra folder because I just bought tampons, and that shouldn't be coming from your grocery budget.
Well said. No, true.
Right? So like these the things are there, but then you see the 500, you see the 45 go out.
Yep.
You need to increase your friction with that under 100,000. You need to increase your friction of seeing the money leave.
Yeah.
You aren't feeling it. And it's because you're not feeling it. In fact, you're likely running away from feeling
100%,
it.
100%. That's most people do. I agree with that.
Right?
100%.
And because of that, it's actually the thing holding you back.
Yeah.
People who use cards statistically will spend 13, and it's debated, but 13 to 18% more because they're using a card.
100%, man. Don't feel
That's not counting the fact that if you go from a debit card to a credit card, it goes up another significant percentage.
Because then it's not even coming out of your account.
Because then it's not my money, right?
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And then furthermore, you get pushed back 26% whenever you don't pay it off right away, right?
Yep.
Because you're avoiding trying to feel it, so you're like, I'm not going to pay it, and then it hurts you even more.
Yep, it's awful.
Right? So the way that you need to get success on that back end, and the trend is I want to avoid all of these feelings. The answer is you have to embrace it. You have to embrace it. Now, if we go up to like that 150, it becomes, okay, you likely have one of two things. You either have a high enough income that it can sustain all of your mistakes, or more likely, because I've come into a number of different clients who are in this space, and they are my favorite clients to work with. Yeah. It's, okay, you have a high income, but your expenses have gone up dramatically because we intrinsically as people will grow to the level of our expenses.
Yeah.
Or grow to the level of our income. Our
lifestyle almost fits what our style is. Yeah,
right?
100%.
And how many people have done this? A young married couple, right? They get together, all of a sudden, dinks, double income, no kid.
Yeah.
Man, we're making a ton of money.
Let's go buy a house. Let's go get it.
It's great.
Yeah, 100%.
And then they have a kid. And before you know it, not only did their expenses rise, but their income went down because they lost that income, right? And then all of a sudden, they're like, man, we can't afford anything. And it's like, no, you absolutely could have afforded these things.
Yep.
But the plan wasn't there.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So like when you look at someone and you're like, oh, they're making $150,000 a year, they're probably killing it. Probably not.
Yeah, if they're doing it correctly, correct.
Probably not.
Correct.
If they haven't gone through the psychology things going on, they will externalize all of the things going on, right? Yep. It becomes, I am posting everything on right? This is the reason that like if you look at all the NFL players who like just stepped in, it's like, man, look at these great chains. It's like, dude, Macklemore says you just spent $50 for a T-shirt, Like,
no, you're not kidding.
Like, what are we doing here?
Sadly, losing all their money.
Right, exactly.
That is,
because time will intrinsically show what your character is, what your competency is, what your confidence is. Right, all of these things that we talked about.
You're not getting the game check the rest of your life.
Right, exactly. Right. You're not getting the game check. So, like for the 150, I would say the biggest trend. I think the biggest trend is passive income, the illusion of passive income. Yeah. There is no passive income.
That's very true.
Now, I cannot lie that the stock market is a great friend of mine.
Do you play stocks much? You do?
Well, no. I don't play stocks. I take a calculated bet that the minute that the industry that is business will continue. That is the only calculated bet that I make.
Okay.
Which means...
Well, still gambled regardless.
Right, it is. A gamble. Right. We can label it. But what I mean by that is let's take an individual stock.
Yeah.
If I say, man, I really love Elon Musk, I'm going to put it all into Tesla. And then tomorrow, Elon Musk does a Nazi salute on... Wait, sorry, I got to come up with something more dramatic. Elon Musk, we find out that he's performed the new Holocaust. What's happening to Tesla? Tesla's going down the tube and all my money's gone. Mm-hmm. Right? So individual stocks, no, not a game, right? But now, if we say something like, let's use something, I'm going to use the most basic form of, investing. Okay. Let's use something as basic as like the NASDAQ 500, S&P 500, like the basic things. It's you are making a bet that the top 500 companies in the US, or you can use other ones that are the 500 companies in the world, whatever you want, that they are going to exist. Yeah. I think 400 years ago, 500 years in the future, the top 500 companies are going to exist. Yeah. That's just fact. And that stock market particularly says, okay, well, what happens when one of these companies goes down through the tube? It means that there's another company down here that probably went up. Correct. We're moving all the money from this company over to that company.
You would need a huge system change to make something like that.
Right.
I agree.
So the point is, again, I like to do it a little bit more in depth, but the most basic level of investing is, look, if you put it into the top 500 companies, and you can put it into one thing that puts it into the top 500 companies, then by definition, you are making a calculated risk that the top 500 companies will continue to exist in some way, shape, or form, which has been a bet that for as long as there's ever been a market has held true.
Correct. I agree with that.
Right? Now, that percentage ranges from 3 to 7%. 3 because that's the standard of inflation, but 7% is what you can expect to get out of something like the NASDAQ or something like the S&P 500. Now, I am in a space where I'm like, you can make a little bit more calculated risk that uses the same principles, and you can get up to like 10 to 12%.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? That's kind of where I like to play. But even there's 25% of that money that's sitting specifically in international things. Yeah. Nothing's based here in the U.S. Because the truth is, dynasties fail, which includes the U.S. And indeed, the reality is, I have to be cognizant and at least say, hey, if I don't do this, if I don't put at least a percentage out there, if the U.S. does completely tank. Yeah. Right. For all the conspiracy theories, I'm giving you all the permission in the world to be like, yeah, let's go with it. Then you have no excuse not to put money into international things. That's fair. And if you're on the other side and you're like, China's the worst thing in the world, all right, well then put it all into the U.S. Right? Like whatever. Regardless,
there's somewhere,
and there's a calculated risk that the top 500 is going to be there. Correct. Right. So I am on board, and with that 150, I would say things like, if you are not investing, I would say your first thing is you need to have some form of emergency fund.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say you need to eliminate all debts without the home.
Yep.
I'm very much in line with Dave Ramsey and a lot of the things that he teaches. I'm a Christian. Don't hold it against me. He's Bible at this point. That's a joke.
We don't judge on here, brother. You're all good.
But I would also say, hey, if you do not have this is where you start to automate. If you don't have a basic percentage going directly out towards investing, right? These are things that are principle of business, like that you need to do. And if you're sub 50K a year, you can't afford it.
Correct.
You can't afford to invest.
Certain people, right?
It's
not even worth. Yeah.
So
correct.
Now, so then it becomes like, hey, what you need to do is, again, you need to increase your level of pain. You need to be willing to go to work. And there are some instances where people are like, man, I'm doing all this. You need to find better work.
Yeah.
Right. And I can coach you towards that. Right. Yeah. Now, I'm not an expert here. Right. I am not a job coach person. Yeah. But what I am really good at doing is saying, hey, let's identify what you have as a gift. What are the things that you, and at the very least, we can start identifying, man, what is a job that has more of a potential income? Correct. That will come naturally.
That will benefit you.
Right.
Yeah,
that'll come naturally to you. Right. And all these things. Now, if you go north of 200K, and again, this is not a timeless because inflation, et cetera, numbers change.
Correct.
But if we look at north of like the 200K, if you have the principle, it likely means that you're not doing it just out of automating. Like if you probably are already automating all these different things. just because as a principle, you don't become a CEO without paying attention to the numbers. Correct. So it's rare that a CEO is not correct doing well with their personal financing.
Correct.
But I would say spend more money. And the trend at that point, a trend that I would empower is something like Monarch.
Yes.
That's something that has been exploding the last couple of years. Yeah. It is a phenomenal budgeting system. And it does a lot of things automated.
Yeah. No, a lot of people need that nowadays.
Right? And you need that. So it's good. But you need to train, and at the 200, you start looking at the, like if you're looking at that north, you're looking at a much more long-term view. How do I have legacy and match the money that I am spending with my values?
Correct.
So I believe intrinsically, if on a personal finance, we're not talking about a business.
Yeah.
But on a personal financing, I believe the ultimate goal of money, and for every single person, it starts with a what. How, what do I need to spend? What do I need to make? But it always will end with a who.
Yeah, interesting. I like that.
Who do I care about?
I like
who do I want to empower? Who do I want to, right?
There's always a motive. Yeah,
now there's ways that this can get abused, because if we look at like the highest of highest people who are, making money right now, they know that who is a real thing. It's the reason that they are spending all of their money into government, and they're frankly changing policies.
Yeah, that's true too.
In their benefit to do that, because they recognize if I activate the who, I can now activate all the what's.
Yeah.
Right, and they're at that higher space, but the people who are on the other side, right? They're like, the who is a good driver. It's a good ambition giver. But that's, again, you rise to the level of your system.
Correct.
Not to the, or you fall to the level of your system, not rise to the level of your ambition. Most people don't have a problem knowing that they love their kids.
That's true.
Right?
That's
they have a problem setting up a system in which they put money away for their kids. Right?
Correct. Well said.
So, yeah, I mean that's what I would say. The trend with that highest is it's increasing more and more and more, that people are spending money on the who to affect a what.
Yeah.
And that is increasingly shown up. And frankly, there needs to be more people where they change the who into not like, getting this policy passed.
Yeah.
But more of how do we directly give to the people who need it.
Correct. Well,
right?
I completely agree with that.
There's a guy who started Water Inc. I think it's Water Inc.
Okay.
But he was like nightclubs, and he's doing all of these drinking things, and a promoter, and he was making a ton of money.
Okay.
And then he gave a year where he was on a ship doing medical things all in these third world countries. And he was just like, I'm just going to try this. I don't know. I'm ambitious. Let's just go.
How about that?
And in that year, he was like, holy crap, something captivated his heart. And he was like, I am deeply impacted by the fact that nobody has water.
Yeah, I love it, dude. We all should be more impacted by that.
Right, Jesus. We should be.
Yeah,
we should.
I agree. I talk about that all the
time. So he says, I am going to make a nonprofit that for the first time, I'm going to be completely honest with every single person. If you want to give money to the putting in water, you are going to say that that's what it's for. If I'm asking you to give money to pay for us to run this organization, that's what I'm asking you for. As opposed to like, hey, donate to us.
No,
and 85% of it went to this.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So he was explicitly serious, especially for the whole, for the first number of years, was like, hey, if you donate, I need you to specify which one you're donating for.
Yeah.
Well, what ended up happening is he had millions of dollars coming in for the water, and he had very little dollars coming in for him to run the business. Yeah. So he got really creative with how to run the business, because he wasn't going to compromise that all of this had to go towards water.
Yeah.
Right. But as it grew, well, then it became a self-professing thing. Now whenever he's doing all the podcasts, he's like, hey, look, all the money that you give will go defaultly towards water. But if you would be so kind as to willingly say, well, it goes towards our organization. Right now, whenever at the end of the year, he says, guys, we're not going to make our budget. Every single year, people show up and say, it's cool, I got it covered, and they'll cover the difference.
Yep, exactly.
Because they're like, we need this to show up next year.
Yeah, because you're doing something that
something that matters.
That
right?
we need, yeah, right? Exactly. I agree with that.
So now they're not giving to a who.
Love that story.
That is, directly hurting something.
Correct.
They're giving to a who that is that's part of a mission that says this is deeply,
part of a bigger purpose.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Man.
So this is where, like, if going back to my earlier, I said, hey, don't be judgmental, right? Be curious. Man, whenever you look at the policies that, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you're looking at the Democrats and saying, what's going on there? If you're looking at the your Republicans and saying, how could they do this?
Each, man. Yep.
There is something intrinsically that is a deep felt need, and sometimes it's personal, but more often than not, it is a group thing, because that group thing is felt by all. Otherwise, they wouldn't vote for it.
Indeed.
That you need to speak to that deep felt need.
Yep. You couldn't agree more.
And the way that you spend your money, those who are north of that 200,000, you need to spend your money so that it speaks to that deep felt need.
Yes.
Not just putting money against money, where we're both endorsing someone that we both don't like.
Yep.
And now they're fighting each other.
Well said,
Instead of doing that, it's we need to meet the deep felt need. Well, now you can cross the aisle.
Yep.
Because people on the other side of the aisle want their deep felt need met.
Yes, indeed,
right?
man.
And if you're willing to meet there, empower it with money. Put money behind your value.
Yes.
Right?
We all need to prioritize the better things. That's for sure.
The trend can't be put it into this so that I can affect the laws being passed. The trend needs to be, I believe so heartily in this mission, and I am going to meet their deep felt need with my money because it meets my deep felt need.
Correct.
Right. So that's if you're in that 200 plus space, and I'm assuming you do have control over your money, because then I would say, yeah, that's the trend, and I think that's
100%. No, I couldn't agree with that more, man. It goes back to we all could definitely be doing a little more and putting money into having different priorities too. I always bring that up. Our priorities seem to be in the wrong spot sometimes, and we definitely need to focus on what truly impacts people every day and like the people that need it, because that's truly not happening in a lot of areas.
Even the line there, right? Priorities. It's an oxymoron. The word priority is one. So when you say priorities, you're intrinsically saying that there's more than one. Well,
there is, in my opinion.
Right. But then you're saying one is priority and the other ones are value that is not the same priority.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so give me clarity then.
You're twisting my words, man.
No, I'm sorry. I
believe there's many priorities in the world that are very important. They all are important, okay? And I don't believe every person could sit here and argue what's more important than the other. I mean, that's opinion based, in my opinion. So I don't think you could say that. But my thing would be, like I said, I always want to just have peace and basic needs for everybody. That should be the main priority above anything, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though. Like I said, people could take that a whole other way and say they think something else is more prioritized. But I just think that for me, I just want all of us people to be happy, healthy, and have a world that we all want to exist in. And with that being said, we need basic needs, whether that's food, water, shelter, however you want to word it. But to me, that should be the focus. Those should be the priorities before we get to any other issues, is just my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I think what I'm hearing is it was more of a disagreement on the definition of the word priority, as opposed to I have an opposing view. Because I'm in the same boat. Okay. I think, but
I get you said that saying priorities. I agree what you're saying there, but you can't really. I mean, for example, you could have many. In my opinion, like I just don't agree with certain definitions. I believe you can talk about anything. Words are we created words. You can word it however you want. In my opinion, I don't really look at it like that personally, but I just think that you can say that there's many things that are important, whether you want to say it's importance or however you want to word it, but we should be focused on the things that are definitely important, that are impacting us daily. I mean, that's the best way I can word it.
And maybe the best way to move forward in that, and I don't want to use the term compromise. The thing that we definitely agree on is like, hey, I think the main priority, right? When other people have a different priority, it's okay, if we don't have the same main priority, then that's fine.
Correct.
Right? But we need to understand that there is a separation then, right? Because, for example, like if one person is the president of the United States and they're saying, this is what I'm doing and I'm going this direction, and someone else on their staff says, hey, I'm trying to go this direction, it's also a priority to go do the thing that they want to do. But the reality is, it's their priority.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. That's
right. Yeah.
What I'm saying. We all have different priorities. That's my That's my opinion of what's important. That doesn't mean that it is. I mean, that's my opinion.
What I meant then is they're like, okay, when that person is now in the service of this administration or this, this group. It's like, well, there's going to be a conflict between your personal priority and the priority of the organization or the priority of the leader, right? And I think people too often are unwilling to have those conversations.
100%.
Of this isn't a priority for me, right?
It's different for everybody, 100%.
Right, and going back to what we were saying earlier, like the money needs to go behind it. Because if you don't have the money behind it, then it will not be long before either you run out of money because it's a finite game, or you're going to sit there and say, you know what, it's not as high as a priority as I thought it was, because you're trying to cope with the reality of it's not working, right? Which again goes back to that. What's the personal experience?
Correct.
So yeah.
No, I agree with that. No, I didn't mean to get heated with you. I was
no. We're not heated. We're good.
Yeah, I guess, like I say, my dad, for example, he's a doctor of education. I've dealt with him my whole life. He's a great guy, done a lot, ran the school districts and stuff. We get along very well, but we have a very different approach, and that's why we get along very well now. We didn't at first, but I've obviously been in the system for school education my whole life, and just didn't. I felt it very egotistical because I feel a lot of people, just because they use words or whatever, think that they're, it is what it is. That's just my approach. But I like to think that we all, like, for example, I could have called this a snook. We called it a table. You know what I'm saying?
Snook is.
Well, it's just our word that we use. But that's the whole point. But I could call it anything. It's just we've accepted that to be what it is. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're told. You know what I mean? But I just believe in questioning everything. Goes back to what I always say, that anything can be. That's how we interpret it. You know what I mean? Everything, just like the Bible. I bring that up. We can interpret it however many people interpret it differently every day. Every day. So I just bring it to that. That's why I don't try to pigeonhole anything or say anything's one thing, because I think there's endless and infinite possibilities in all things, personally.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah, sure.
What's your biggest stressor when it comes to money?
That's a good question. I don't really spend much on myself besides like personal things, but I would say making sure my son has stuff is always my goal, and it's never enough. That's the thing. We have a lot saved for him. It's to me, the way the world is, you just don't know. I think that's the uncertainty. I think of where we're being, those in years is probably the hardest part for me. Is just the uncertainty of, because you can't ever control or know, what life will be in 50 years. So.
And that's specifically referring to the uncertainty of his future.
More because that's what matters to me. Because it's not about me. It's about bigger. Not even just him. Just people. I always say our job as humans, to me, is to create the world, make it better while we're here, but also make it better for the people after us, like the people have done before us. That to me is humanity's goal, is to make us. So to me, to make sure that the world's in a good place when he's here, and everyone else around him. To me, that would be my worry, my biggest worry. Yeah.
So I got a chance to listen to a couple of different episodes before I came on, because it was like I want to know. But I also didn't get a chance to hear all sorts of different things, and I also am curious, right?
Yeah.
So like you starting this whole thing, you've been doing it for a couple different years now. First off, it was awesome that like you're. I'm assuming she's your wife, Jessica.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want her name out there. Regardless.
You could. No, she's on this. People.
Okay, cool.
Good, man. You're good.
So like she sent me the different emails, and it's like, oh wow, like they're doing this together. Mm-hmm. And that was like, that's cool for me to see.
I appreciate that.
And then like I can definitely get behind the vulnerability. Yeah. The look, we have to be curious. It's right down my realm, right? Yeah. But even in like the vulnerability, it's a navigating, balancing act. Mm-hmm. Even with me doing my coaching, because generally when you have relationship trauma or something along that, some form of deep felt trauma, I'm forgetting who quoted it, but it says something along the lines of, it's the relationship that heals. Mm-hmm. Right? So when someone goes to a therapist and they talk through a lot of the different things that are going on, a good therapist is asking a whole lot of questions. Mm-hmm. But why is it that sometime when there's a deep breakthrough moment, it's like, I could use a hug?
Yeah.
Because it's the relationship that heals.
Correct.
And yes, this person is trained to help you navigate through what's you're struggling with, but simultaneously they are an extension of a relationship that's healthy. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to money, or even as you're sitting down and doing this, there's a little bit of a tension to manage, not so much a problem to fix. Problems, it's like, cool, the thing's solved, I don't need to deal with it anymore. But the tension, it's like, this is going to keep coming up, and I've got to be willing to deal with it every time that it does. So how do you, because this is something that I struggle with as a coach, use the vulnerability, but at the same time, not putting yourself in a compromising position to where that vulnerability, frankly, can get abused.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Have you experienced that in,
100%.
in the podcasting?
Not even, in many areas, I would say, for my life, because I'm a giver. That's just kind of who I am. But I will say, it can work against you, but I also always try to say that it's going to, and it will continue to. In my opinion, that's the point of being that kind of a person. I mean, it's never, you can't be a giver and expect everything to be great, is my opinion, because people are always going to be people. I always bring it back to this. I can only control what I can control. I can't control what other people do, but I can control the energy that I put off, the nature, the character that I give off. And that to me is what's important. What other people do to me is not my choice. That's not up to me, but I can control how I respond and how I act with it. Now, to be fair, there's times where you have to, sometimes there is a line, like you said, there is sometimes maybe it's someone's taking too much advantage, or there's a time where you're giving too much and not, getting enough back, or whatever it is, but you can't expect anything back too. That's the other part too, when you're in that situation. So for me, I look at I think for all of us, but personally, I view my life as it's a service to others. We're supposed to serve others, and we're supposed to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help other people. And as long as I'm doing that, whether that's one or two people every day in some capacity, that's what makes me happy. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, I do deal with that a lot, 100%. But to me, you have to be bigger than that, and you have to keep going with that message no matter what. No matter how much you get thrown on the floor, you just got to keep getting back up. And I do think that with that, you also teach lessons to people. And there's been a lot of times in my life where I have been that way and been taken, and then people will realize how nice of a person you are and be like, damn, I'm so, they will realize what they're doing eventually. And it may take a little, it ain't happen quick sometimes, but it does, it kind of plants the seed and watches it grow. You kind of just, in my opinion, the messaging is key. And there's a lot of my friends I think would even tell you that I've changed their perspective because of that, because my friends tell me that all the time. It's like, how do you deal with all that crap and just let it be? Like, how do you just, I don't understand how you just always are happy like that. I'm just like, it's sometimes you're not, but you gotta be, man. And to me, that's the best answer I can give you, because I don't think there's a way to not have it. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to walk both lines and not, you get what I mean? I don't think you can walk both sides and not have one or the other, but I just try to be the same way every day and try to, and push my message that I believe in. And if others don't, like I said, that's up to them. But all I know is if I'm a good person, I put off good energy, then that makes me happy. And hopefully that resonates. And, and just as long as I'm focused on the bigger picture and not focused on myself, then I believe I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
But that's the best way I can answer that.
You're confident in yourself.
Correct. I'm confident in at least what I believe in. And hopefully,
And that's like, your confidence breeds confidence in others.
I appreciate it.
So,
I appreciate that.
As you have that confidence, and as other people around you see that you can stand in that space, it's much easier for them to acknowledge, oh, this is where I'm at. And especially whenever you show vulnerability and say, okay, I'm willing to have change here, then they too can say, it's okay, I can have change. And it opens up the conversation for more.
Yeah, because I'm not a big Christian guy. I do believe in a lot of the morals and stuff, but I always bring up, I love the metaphors. Like I always bring up, for example, I need a Christian guy, so Jesus, obviously.
Well, man, if you want to have a conversation, that could be a whole other podcast. You know what I mean? He was nailed and everything and didn't do nothing of the contrary, you know what I mean? And so, not saying that's a perfect depiction. Obviously, we can't be perfect. I'm not saying I'm Jesus. I'm not. 100% not. I make many mistakes, but all we can do is try to better ourselves. And I just believe I always bring up energy. Energy to me is the thing. If I can put off good energy and good aura to others and myself and lead that light, I always bring like a firefly. If I can be a firefly that's lit up 24/7, hopefully eventually everybody else is going to be lit up and the whole world will be lit up. So that's kind of the best way I can word it. Because now you've really piqued my curiosity. Because like I'm here because I'm a coach and I do this stuff and I believe that like people need to have these conversations.
Right? It's especially in this world economy,
100% there. But at the same time, like it was something that as I was listening to the episodes, I'm like, man, I'd be interested to have a theological conversation.
We can have another one in that direction. Like
at the very least,
man. I'd love talking to you, man.
We should make it happen.
But I'm sorry if I didn't mean to get like. I just felt like you took my words a little bit, and I'm sorry if you came across like that, brother. There's all love, and I hope you know that. There's mutual respect here, and I had no issue at all, man. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think that words get used differently, in my opinion. I'm weird. I don't sometimes go by the book, so
I have a whole coaching practice in which I am I have a whole coaching practice where I sit down with people, and I'm like, my job in many respects is to be curious and then help get clarity on where we're at.
We all need that.
So in many respects, it's like, no, dude, you're fine. Like,
thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't want you to ever think I was coming. I'm so sorry.
You definitely don't need to apologize.
I will. I'll say that's one of my biggest issues, man. When I'm working, I'll have my boss. I work at UPS too. I'm a full-time package car driver. Okay. That's my other job. And so when I'm over there, they're basically telling me the same thing. They're like, Andrew, you don't have to say you're sorry every time. Cause
do you wear shorts all year?
No, I can't. Oh God, brother. There is guys that do. I don't know how they do it. God bless them. But no. I'm glad you asked that. No, I probably have 3 layers under my pants. Let me tell you that. I'm a baby when it comes to that. I'll be honest, completely honest. But there is some goats over there that are short sleeve shorts all year. I don't know how they do it in the snow and everything.
I can't picture a UPS driver without them wearing shorts. So I had to ask.
Well, you're right. There's people. It's about 4 or 5 guys in the whole building. There ain't many, but they do year round, man. Even in the snow, I don't know how they do it. They're coming in with their shorts on. I'm just looking at them like, you're doing that for 14 hours? Are you sure?
There was a guy who went to our church, and he was a UPS driver. His name was Paul.
Okay.
And he was a pretty dang good singer. And he did worship for a long while.
How about that?
Yeah, but man, he would come in on us, like I remember him coming in like on a church event or something like that. Yeah. And it's like shorts every time.
That's hilarious. That's all. So it carries over to the personal life. There you go. Work, personal life really mixes there, I guess. Yeah, Jesus. That's funny. That's funny, man. But I was like, before we do close out, I did want to ask you this one. If you could give yourself one lesson, as your younger self, what would it be now, from how much you know now? Whether it be financially, spirit, however you want to take that. You
how
can take
old
that.
am I?
Let's say teenager, 13. Let's say you're 13.
13.
Let's say you're 13, just for conversation's sake.
So there's 2 things that kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
At 13, I did not like myself.
Okay.
I was continuously questioning, why is it that people don't like me, and all of these different things. And for me, again, personal story, like I found a lot of the like for myself started in a relationship with Jesus, because it was I feel like he really likes me as I am because he created me.
Yeah.
But I did not have the ability to look at other people around me and say, it's okay if they don't like me.
I see. Okay.
Right. And so there was an intrinsic anxiety, and sometimes still is, but it's again, tension to manage, not a problem to fix. Of what I need to get these things to like me or these people to like me, therefore I do blank.
Yeah.
And I was always a little bit weird. Right,
yeah.
We
all are. I would say if you live with somebody for a month, we're all weird. You're good.
My family was from the Netherlands,
No, so like different aspects,
completely different aspects, and some things are stark differences. My mom works as a midwife, so like my little sister was born, and I was in 5th grade, and she's like, "Yeah, come in. You're gonna be part of the process," because she was very okay with that, right? And like I remember going into school, I was like, "Yeah, my little sister was born, and I cut the umbilical cord," and like everyone was like, "You're freaking weird,"
God,
but at the same time, like I grew up, so like there that was weird, but it's very normal for a Dutch person to have a home birth.
Yeah.
And I would argue that it's better.
I would agree. I do not disagree with
that. My point is, I've always had a semblance of, okay, I've had things about me that were weird.
Yeah.
But at 13 specifically, there was a lot of, man, I want these different people to like me, and I didn't like those people.
Yeah.
So why?
What was the reason behind it? Yeah.
Like, what was the reason behind it? And it was intrinsically, if they can accept me, I can accept me.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing that, as I became a Christian, it became much easier for me to say I can identify that I can accept me as I am.
Yeah.
Which, if I were to parry that a little bit more into like where it might even be really beneficial to the listener as it is right now. Enneagram. Have you ever heard of the Enneagram?
No, I've not.
Okay. So it's a personality typing.
Okay.
A personality typing test. And I am a huge fan of the Enneagram.
Okay.
It's really easy. Take it online. In fact, if you want to, I'll come back and do a whole thing where we do your test.
I'm interested. I've never seen it. I'll have to check it out.
But the Enneagram's greatest strength, because there's all sorts of different personality typings. There's Myers-Briggs. There's
it makes the world go.
Like all of these different ones. But the Enneagram, its greatest strength is, what do you do when you are in a space of stress?
Okay.
Right? So, for example, let's go back to my 13-year-old, and this carried up as I grew older and older, was, okay, I am, and at 13, you're still, like, your default personality typing hasn't fully worked itself out. You're still growing.
Figuring things out,
But if I would say for anyone who hasn't done the Enneagram, it's an easy test. You can find it online, do it for free. But the number that highest correlates, if you can understand what that person does in a place of health and what that person does in a place of stress, really impactful.
Yeah.
And I will use this even in like my coaching space. So let me use my number. There's 9 different numbers as a result, 1 through 9.
I see.
And I am an 8, which is the challenger. They are someone who their deep felt fear is, I am going to not have control.
Okay, I see.
Right? You wonder why I like budgeting and numbers, right? Because it gives me a sense of control.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
right?
Understandable.
But what do I do in a space of stress? I run to the bad qualities of a 5, which is I shut the world out. I don't want to let anything in because I can't control anything.
Yeah.
Right? So let me get complete control over the one thing that I can control, which is right here, right now, and I shut everything out.
100%. Yeah.
But it also means that, like, in a place of unhealth, if I walk out, like if I'm walking in my 8-ness, but I'm in this space of 5-ness, when someone else comes up to me and says, yeah, what I feel this, I'm like, your feelings aren't valid. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's just not real, right? It's outside of me. I can't control that. I don't shut it down.
Yeah.
Right? So an unhealthy 8 will walk around domineering other people.
Yeah.
Again, I can point out to a number of different people who, like, we all know who the unhealthy 8 looks like.
Yeah.
It's the boss who walks in and says, I don't give a rip. Do what I said.
Yeah.
Right? There's a myriad of different celebrities who we can say,
fair enough.
But then if we look at like a healthy version of an 8, Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna relent on this. You can do whatever you want to me, but it's not gonna change that this is deeply immoral. I'm gonna stand up for this. I'm willing to challenge the status quo. But they're using all of their 8-ness in the service of others.
Yeah, correct.
They are an 8, but they run to the good qualities of a 2, which is the helper. So I am constantly using this as an expression for others. Right? Well, what does this happen whenever it comes to money? I talk about it when it comes to money, but like this is something that I would ask people to go do the Enneagram because it's just good for your life.
In general, yeah.
Right?
General, yeah.
But in the space of money, it becomes, okay, well, if I'm talking with someone who's a 5, they're trying to research everything. They're probably not making any decisions with their money, and they're probably making endless lists of what they could do with it.
Yeah, True.
Right? Because in a place of stress, they're going to keep making all of these lists. They're going to overanalyze, and they're not going to move. Right?
Good point.
But if they're in a good space, if they're in a healthy space, they're going to lean more towards the 8 because it crosses with each other. And it becomes, man, I am going to, in confidence, challenge things despite the fact that it becomes weird to me, right? Or something like that.
No, that makes sense.
So I love, and again, the beauty of the Enneagram more than anything, because it is a personality type, means you are not a number.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
But the biggest strength is, what do you do in a place of stress? And that will affect everything.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
How do you interact with people? What do you do in a place of stress? How do you interact with your money? What do you do in a place of stress? Like it's involved.
100%.
So if there's something I wish I was, I didn't do the Enneagram until I was like maybe 23, 24.
Gotcha.
And it was one of the first times that I could, outside of faith, it was one of the first times that I was able to look at myself and be like, this isn't wrong.
It actually made sense kind of for you a little bit. Yeah.
Me going up to the pastor who fired me.
Yeah.
And saying, guys, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I can't put in this much hours and not get paid for it. Yeah. It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right? At the time, I had to go through a lot of therapy to say what on earth was going wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
But in truth, it was, no, you're standing up for something that is deeply wrong within, and Christians are the first to shoot their own dead, right? But this is something that's deeply wrong with this space, where people will use Christ as an example, as a motivator, instead of paying people when they deserve to be paid.
Correct.
Right? You are putting in time. You deserve to be paid for that time. Right?
Indeed.
And even if, so like, now don't get me wrong, the inverse of that, the capitalist side of that, which I also agree in, is if you're not bringing in any money, we can't afford to pay you. That makes sense.
There's two flip sides of the coin, 100%.
And I'm in youth ministry. It's not like kids are showing up with money.
Yeah, it's not like there's millions
right?
out.
But
100%.
at the same time, there is if we're going to sit here and say that we want to care about the families in our church, and that means we're going to care for the kids, we have to be willing to put money behind putting money towards the kids.
It doesn't just happen.
You got to pay somebody,
correct,
right?
Correct.
So it's things like that. That like at the time, that was when I was younger, it was, man, what's wrong with me? I want to challenge all these things, and I'm telling myself I shouldn't challenge these things.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things outside of faith, and faith even backed it up further for me, that no, this is how I'm wired, and it's okay for me to challenge it. I am very comfortable sitting in a conversation when someone is upset, particularly in the realm of money, right? Because I'm wired that way.
Correct.
I'm able to challenge it, and I love to challenge it, and I actually thrive off challenging it.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, it means that like I've got to be very in check with where I'm at, because I will be devil's advocate to someone, even though I disagree. Like I completely agree with them, but I will sit there, find myself being a devil's advocate just because I want to challenge.
You're right. It's just the personality type. It's, like you said, it's human nature almost.
Yeah,
it's in all of us.
Human nature.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
If you're willing to, and that would be the thing that I think everyone who's younger needs to embrace, is discover who you truly are.
Correct.
And the way you discover who you truly are is by questioning why you do the things that you do, understanding that some of those things are things you should embrace, and it's actually what makes you who you are, and it like leverage it.
Yeah.
Don't run away from it.
Well said, man.
Right?
No,
I'm not afraid to challenge things now, but I'm also willing to take the hit that sometimes I'm going to challenge someone and they disagree with me.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Correct.
Right? Like,
and it is okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't need to shut them out and say, I can't control you. Like, I'm not like,
exactly.
I'm not going to
still get along. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's both sides of that. But I'd be really interested to find out what your number is.
Yeah, I will. No, I'm definitely going to have to try that out. I've never looked into it. I'll have to check that out. I will 100% will.
We'll have a follow-up email for sure. We will.
No,
I need to know.
Man. We're definitely if you're interested, I will definitely have you on for another deeper episode if you're interested sometime.
Sure.
Absolutely, man. But no, thank you again for all that, man. I really enjoyed your perspective and your approach, my man. I truly do, and I appreciate your mindset you have on you. And honestly, I can relate to you a lot on the 13-year-old stuff, man, because that's kind of why I do half this stuff too. I've always felt like a kind of outcast and didn't feel right. I don't like to use normal, because I had a podcast I talk about what is normal.
Right.
Nobody's normal. You know what I mean? Like we're all got oddities. Right. But I always felt like that too. So I do relate to you on that, and I still do. I think we all do. But we all have moments where we have. No matter how figured out you think you have it in your head, where we all have moments where we second guess or whatever it is, where we, kind of lose sight of that. But no, man, I appreciate you doing what you're doing, and obviously with the morals you have behind it as well. And like I said, it's good to see somebody doing that type of work and doing it for good reasons as well, because that's not always the case too. So
if I were to give a small rule of thumb to help prevent yourself from going to someone who doesn't have the good motive.
Good call here. Right? Yes.
Defaultly, if you're in the investing space, you pay for the time of their advice.
Yeah.
You do not pay for them to invest for you.
Yeah. Well said.
If they invest for you, they will use whatever thing they use, particularly the term AUM, assets under management.
Okay.
If they say, hey, give me, do this, invest in us, well, we're going to invest it and we're going to make this money. We're going to earn you 1%. They're like, we're only going to take 1%, but we're going to earn you 11.
Yeah.
Well, the way compound interest works, if they do that for you for all 40 years, you walked away with $2 million made, but they walked away with 400,000 of it.
Yeah.
Off of 1%.
Yeah.
So because assets under management means they are taking a percentage of the assets under management.
Correct.
They are not, you are right. And you interacted with them once a year, once every 2 years. I know someone who has a financial advisor who lives over in California, who once every 5 years comes out to the East Coast and interacts with all the people who he knows in the East Coast. But the only reason that he has him as a financial advisor is because that's who his parents had as a financial advisor, and they just passed it on to him.
I see.
Right? That guy has made so much money off of their family.
For once in 5 years. Yeah.
For once in 5 years interacting with you.
Very good point.
Right? It is a deep problem there 100%. Because and again, this comes from Ramit Sethi. He's a big champion in this.
Yeah.
But I would also, get behind that is in the investing space, you are paying someone to be a teacher who has the heart of a teacher so that they can teach you to do what you needed to do.
Correct.
If that is not the case, you inherently are going with someone who is likely benefiting themselves.
Yes.
So if we go into insurances, it'll be something along the lines of, hey, this whole life policy is so good for you. Why? Because you make a percentage.
Yeah.
Right? This term policy exists too. It's way cheaper, and you're not selling me on that.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep, exactly.
Because you're not making a percentage.
Good point there. Yep,
right?
Exactly.
So, with me doing my coaching, my guarantee in it is, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm working with you, you are going to pay this price up front, but it goes into a holding place, and I don't get to put it as revenue into my business until you've made that money back in your budget.
Yeah.
Your budget is what pays for me.
Correct. That's how it should be. Yeah.
Right? And if I'm not able to prove in your budget that you made that money, guess what? It comes back to you.
Yep.
Because it's your money, right?
Yep, exactly.
And you should be paid for the value that I give you. If you do not get paid for the value that I give you, you should not pay me.
Correct.
Right? I'm taking the risk, but at the same time, you're taking the risk to work with me, and you should get the benefit of that risk. But simultaneously, my charge is what my charge is, because this is what my time is worth. And if I am not able to get that, value from you, for that time, that's fine. I can accept that. Because there is someone who's making enough that I can get that value from, right?
Correct.
So there are some of my clients who it's like, look, we're not going to have a high cost here, and that's fine. I'm not charging you a whole lot.
Yeah.
But that's because that's where they're at, and I have the time in my schedule. I can take on another client.
Yeah.
But I've also had 1 or 2 times where it's like, look, man, I'm building a wall. I got 2-3 people over here that I'm currently working with. I don't have space for another client.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you can't afford me right now anyway.
No, you got to.
Here's 2 or 3 books. Yeah. Go read the books.
It's better to be honest than
right. I'm going to be honest.
100%.
But the same thing goes whenever I work with those people who are making a ton of money. I can't now charge them more because I made them more money.
Correct. Correct.
Hey, we had an agreement. Yeah. This is how much, this is how much that you're paying me for.
No, I respect
so,
that.
So you are paying me for the time that I'm advising you.
Yep.
Right? You are not paying me so that I can go invest your money for you and then come, right? I'm teaching you how to invest.
Yes.
I'm teaching you how to pay off the debt, right? This is a debt consolidation is a big one. Is, we're going to help you get rid of your debt. No, you're not. You're going to take 15 companies that you all owe money to. You're going to pay all of them and you're going to buy all that debt at 15 cents on the dollar. And then you're going to collect it all into one space so it makes your credit look better. And then you're going to go back to that person and say, hey, you know what? Now you just pay me, again, 15 cents on the dollar, but you owe all of it to me.
Yep, correct.
It's
still going somewhere.
Right, it's still going somewhere. Exactly. Like you haven't solved the problem. In fact, you probably gave them the opportunity with a better credit to go get another card and make it worse.
Sadly,
right?
Yeah, you're sadly right, brother.
So, right. So, like, this is my point. Like, you do not pay people to do things for you. You do in service spaces, but in the financial space, you do not pay people to do things for you. Yeah. You pay people to teach you how to do it yourself. And if you do not understand how to do it, don't do it.
Correct. Well said. And there's no better person teaching yourself anyway.
It's
like you
okay.
said. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Acknowledge where you're at. Accept where you're at. I don't understand investing. Don't do it yet.
Yeah. No. Well said, man.
Cool. Understand. Learn more.
No, you're right. Yeah. Get the information before you act.
Yes.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more, man. Yes. I could not agree more there, brother. But no, thank you again as always, man. I had a great conversation with you, man. It was a pleasure getting to meet you and everything too, man. It was a pleasure. And thank you again. I'm sure we'll have you back on another time. And I'll make that test and I'll tell you what I get.
Let me know. Let me know. Send me the email.
That's right. So. But as always, this is our episode number 28. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. And as always, like and subscribe if you can. I've got a bunch of content coming out all week, so make sure you stay tuned into that. And obviously the merch is out, www.mental-medicine.com. If you'd like to purchase merch, we got Who's Even Listening shirts, our Snook shirts, and we also have sticker packs as well. So appreciate anybody that does support the show as well. But as always, same message as always. ELE, everybody love everybody. Let's try to do our part and make this world a little better for us all to live in and exist in. And hopefully we're influencing others who want to do that as well. But with that being said, we'll see you again next Wednesday. And hopefully you're doing your part, we're doing ours. And as always, have a great night, great morning, great breakfast wherever you are. And we'll see you again in a week. And this is episode number 28, signing off.